Hi guys, and welcome back to the third and final part of this tutorial for lesson 6. This one's pretty short and pretty easy. It's just explaining the difference between a class and an ID. When it comes, so we can see from our food page here that we have implemented two different classes, one for our photo to centre it and one called info for our text and stuff, which will format our text in a particular way. I want to draw attention to the div at the bottom here, and you can see what I've done is I've changed this from class to ID. Okay, and I've called that ID changes. And if we look at our style sheet, we can see that I have implemented a ID. Now you can tell it's an ID because rather than starting with a dot like a class would, it starts with a hashtag. Okay, changes. And these are the styles applied. Now, what is the difference between a class and a ID? Well, classes can be applied to all of our divs as we go through. We can use one single reference from our style sheet, for example, info. We can continually use this and continually draw these styles into our web sheet for these different div elements. Okay, but there may be occasion where we want to maybe slightly change the styling for a particular element within our within our page. So for example, these paragraphs and stuff we want styled normally using our info style, our class, and you know, you could have multiple instances of that throughout your web page. But then you may come to one area where you want to style it slightly different and make it more individual, okay, to stand out in the page perhaps. Okay, and that's where an ID would come in. Now it's important to know that you can only use that single ID reference once within the web page. So what I mean by that is the ID changes can only be used once in this web page. Okay, any further IDs would need to have a different name and therefore would need to have a different style applied in the style sheet. Alright, so I've applied the ID changes to this div element here. What do I want it to look like? Okay, so I'm going to change the font to Arial from Times New Roman. Background colour I'm going to change from tomato to blue. The text colour will still be white. The border style will be double. The border colour will be changed to red from black. The width will be the same. Text align will be centre, and the left and right margins will be auto also. Okay, so our class will continue to style the other elements, whereas this ID will style this one individual element within our page. Okay, let's go and look at how that looks. So there we have it. There's our H1 heading, a class of photo applied to this picture, class of info applied to this element of text here, our H2 style applied here, a class of photo again applied to this picture, and we have the ID of changes applied to this bottom section. So you can see we've clearly divided this page up into sections again. So 1, 2, 3, 4 sections. The headings you could count sections as well. So 6 sections in total within this this website that can be styled individually. So again, just looking at that again, the hashtag for IDs, and again I would use this when we particularly want to change the style of a particular aspect of our page. If I go to my home page again, and if I change the ID here to change that class to ID and changes, again if I save that and I go back here and return to my home page, you can see that the styling here has changed also. Okay, so it's very easy to change styles very quickly. Okay, in modern web development it is a great tool. It allows us to change styles at the click of a button almost. If you think about web pages and websites for stores and businesses and organisations, perhaps they change the styling due to the season within the year. So maybe at Christmas time they want to change the colouring, you know, to more Christmas colours, and you know, your reds, golds, and greens and stuff like that. Then they can do that very, very easily. They don't have to actually rebuild the whole website. They can just apply a different style sheet. Okay, so you can create a new one of these and just apply it to the web pages, and that's done very, very quickly. So really powerful tool, and like I say, I hope you got on well with it. All right, I'll just change that back to our food page and so on. So you're all set to go. You're just going to apply these things to the different pages, okay, as you go through. Exact same techniques, exact same way. I don't see much use at the moment for your ID. If you want to make some changes using an ID, then great, go ahead and experiment with that. But today we have covered the div tag to section up our web page. We've looked at an external style sheet and creating one of those. We've learned how to link that external style sheet to our web pages, and then we've applied the classes and IDs within that style sheet to particular sections of our web pages. Okay, well done, and stay tuned for our next tutorial video.